We got the kind that lasts forever.
Good morning. This is Karen Dotson from the Medical College of Wisconsin. I'm a program director for the All of Us Research Program. And I have with me my favorite doctor.
All right, we're in this love together.
I know, Dr. Kevin Izzard.
Like berries on a vine.
He was
Gets sweeter all the
really hitting
time.
some good tunes a little bit earlier. So we might have to get him to do a solo for us one day or something. But we're at the table today. We're excited about what we'll be talking about. Dr. Kevin Izzard, he's a family practice physician. He also is the president of Cream City.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a lot of other stuff too,
I do too much stuff.
I mean, he has a whole list, and I'm just trying to figure out
tired, how. A lot of stuff due, and
but he is really here with me today, and I appreciate that he's always here with me the first hour to have discussion about health-related topics and how we can inform the community. And so, Dr. Kevin Izzard, today we're going to be having some good conversation.
We sure are.
Yeah,
we sure are.
We have special guests. We have from the Department of Health and Human Services. And I'm going to let you introduce this gentleman because I know that
Mr. Landon.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a guest, and he's been on the show before. Well, not our show, but he's been on the radio before. Mr. Artist Landon. He's the administrator of Child Support Services at Milwaukee County, and he's an adjunct professor at Marquette University. It's my alma mater. All right. So I guess the basketball team's playing today, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
They're on today.
Yep. So anyway, we're bringing him on because there is a program that's going on the 31st, next Monday, not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. Right? Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Related to fatherhood. And so we want to kind of talk about that program and just even the intersection of how he's got a background in law enforcement. It'd be interesting to talk about how law enforcement and child support and fatherhood initiatives relate to our health, because it's all interconnected.
It really is. It really is.
And so we're talking about kids and these kids doing these knucklehead things, driving crazy and stuff. But it's all. I'm sure you're aware of something we'd like to talk about these what they call ACE, adverse childhood, exposures or events. And so you can predict someone's lifespan by their background as a child. And that stuff lives with you for the rest of your life. Things like whether you had two parents in your home, or whether you experienced homelessness or food insecurity, or was sexually abused, or someone in the house was imprisoned, or you didn't feel like you were loved. All that stuff as a child goes on to determine your risks in the future for depression and suicide, your risk for alcoholism, your people who have those 10 things that they list as they screen for. If you got 4 or more, the life expectancy between someone who's got 4 or more and someone who's got 0 is 20 years. So that takes 20 years off your life. That's crazy. So
right.
So it really is incumbent on us to make sure our kids are getting the help that they need.
Right.
Because otherwise they see you later, right? Yeah. So anyway, so tell us about what's going on for the fatherhood initiative.
So what we're doing March 31st, on Monday, we are hosting a event at the King Center, and I'm excited to officially announce that we're launching 7 new locations, satellite locations, where residents can access child support services. And the King Center is one of the new locations. So essentially, we're taking the services from child support from the courthouse, and we're redirecting the foot traffic to our satellite location. So I think the main point is what we want to stress is accessibility for our residents or our participants who don't have to come to the courthouse. Number one,
Mhm.
find parking. Number two,
Yeah.
go through this long line and take off your belt and your shoes
Mhm.
and navigate the courthouse. I mean, it's
Mhm.
intimidating to navigate the courthouse. And so, and I know because I have experience with the courthouse, and I do know the complexities of navigating. Where do I go when I get to the first floor?
Mhm.
And then you stand out in my lobby, right? And there's a long line just to pay child support or check
Mhm.
your case
Mhm.
or just receive services. So
Mhm.
one of the things we're trying to do is bring our services to the community, and so that they can have a safe, warm environment to be able to talk about their families or their
Yeah.
children, and then
Yeah.
pay child support as well.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to go on March 31st. We're going to have the county exec.
Okay.
He's going to be there. So
Yeah. So who's this for?
so this is for the participants. This is to let everyone know that we're in a community now,
Mhm.
and so we really want to push this. And this is why I'm here. This is why I'm on Jammin' 98.3, and this is we have a commercial coming out on CBS 58. We're really trying to go hard at pushing that we are in a community now. We're here to help.
Mhm.
We're just we want to deliver a more holistic service for child support services.
Yeah.
That's one thing that has always been challenging, especially for men when it relates to child support
Mhm.
services. And I guess the biggest concern is that how can they really feel like they can afford it? And especially those that aren't working, with the job market getting to be challenging. So, what can you say for people that have those concerns?
Reach out to us. Number one, I do realize in the past that when we talk about the orders that were that are ordered in the court, we understand that 17% or 21% means it's different in different cases. Meaning that some quarters are just not right size right now. Meaning you're taking too much out of my check, right? And so
Mhm.
most men opt to just not work and just work under the table, get cash under the table. They'll take a barber job.
Mhm.
They'll take a construction job, just to have cash at the end of the week. And so,
Mhm.
and these men, what's so fascinating is a lot of these men have arrears and they owe us arrears, right? Um, and they have their kids in the back seat and they're still spending time with their kids. That's just a
Mhm.
myth that black men just don't take care of their kids.
Mhm.
Black men want to take care of their kids. And I think one of the things that we're trying to do now is just make it accessible
Mhm.
for black men to take care of their kids so that we can prove them, hey, we love our kids. We
Yeah.
have our kids. We support them. We take them to AAU. We take them to Dave and Buster. So how do I connect the dots right now? And that's what we're trying to do, connect the dots.
Yeah. That child support can really mess you up. I got a cousin, he got married, but old child support, and he and his wife wanted to go on a trip. They wanted to go to the Caribbean on a cruise. He couldn't get a passport.
Couldn't get a passport.
And I was trying not to weigh in on this thing.
But go ahead, jump
Please
in,
do.
brother.
But child support is supposed to be for absent fathers and not broken relationships. And it's a lot of men that's on child support because they broke up with the parent of their child. And the first thing that's said to them is, well, that's all right, you'll be paying child support.
Mm.
And what people don't understand, once you put them in a system, it's almost like a nuclear bomb. It sets them back. So now, as far as passports, as far as getting a house, moving on in life, it makes it harder because you was bitter. Because in my situation, we broke up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the judge looked at her and asked her, "Well, what do you want me to do with him?"
Mhm.
Hmm.
Wow.
And she say back to the judge, "I just wanted to teach him a lesson." So when y'all was talking about it, I was hesitating on getting in because and this has been 20 something plus years
Mm-hmm.
that I'm dealing with this because we broke up and you
Wow.
pushed a nuclear bomb on me. And there's nobody in place to speak for the black men that's going through you on child support because of broken relationship. Not that you're not taking care of your kids, you're spending time with your kids. You're there every time that you need them. You're showing up for parents teachers conference. You're doing all this stuff, but you still in the system.
Right, right. So,
Right.
Mr. Landon, what do you have to say for that? Especially because I think that's one of the major challenges that some of our men have, that when they get into the system, they're just stuck there, and sometimes it doesn't have a way for them to navigate it appropriately. Is that one of the reasons why you're doing these satellite sites?
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons. And then I've actually shared the same exact experiences that we just heard,
Wow.
as far as it can affect your debt to income ratio. You can try to buy a house and you come to find out that you owe $30,000 and you can't you can't get a letter to buy a house. Even driver's license, even warrants when you don't show up for a paternity test. The system has to change. And I can say this: I'm here now, and I can be more of an advocate for those that are in the system. Not even, it's just not even fathers all the way. It's women who pay child support as well. There's women who actually pay child support. And so how do in my position, how do I advocate for those? And then still, so I do have, there's statutory requirements for child support. This is an actual statutory requirement program. But how do we take this from being having such a punitive approach, and how do we make it holistic? How do we make it, like I said, accessible, our services accessible to men and women who have to pay support? Because at the end of the day, it's the children that are affected, right? So when a child is not financially and emotionally supported, then we send them to, they're at risk. Research said they're at risk when the father's not in the home, or when the father's not involved, or they're living in poverty. They're at risk. And then we send these same kids to NPS. And then we move these same kids to detention, and eventually, like Dr. Izza said, then now they're going to prison, right? So how do we serve children holistically? How do we keep the father in the home? How do we support the fathers to be able to support their child? Because that's number one. If I want to take care of a child, I have to take care of their parents. And so that's one thing we're trying to do now, is I have to pay attention to the family, to the mom and dad now.
Right.
If I want to affect a child, impact a child.
So basically, I'm just having a question with you related to child support and going into the court system. If at all possible, both parents, if they can work it out, it's better not to get into that system. Is that correct? If they can work it out.
Can you avoid it? That's a question.
Right.
I mean, if you agree and she agrees, or he and she agree to, work it out independently, that's really kind of the best way to do it, isn't it?
Yes, and that's why I'm leveraging the community at this point. Now I know years ago, last year, 2 years ago, child support was child support enforcement. And so now I want to be child support services, meaning I want to look at.
I want to interject for just a moment,
Right.
Mr. Landon,
Right.
because I think something's being missed a lot of times. It's not about the two parents agreeing. You're talking about, in most cases, young folks who, because of birthing expenses and all the other expenses, you're going to have to name somebody to be able to receive services.
That's true.
So therefore, that's how you kind of get into the system in the first place. Because of child support, I mean, somebody's got to pay. The hospital has to be paid.
Yeah, right.
So now you owe the state.
Yeah.
So the state says to that mother, okay, you want services, you need medical, you need this, and you've received all of this.
So they force
Who do we go after to retrieve our money?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how that young man gets hooked up into the system.
Exactly.
It starts off when the baby's born, inside the birth certificate.
Yeah.
Who's the father?
See,
Exactly.
And it's,
then the expense.
And then
So it's all
he
related
owes
to
us
dollars.
money for this
Right.
So
delivery.
it's all related to dollars. So my question is that when the dad really doesn't have a really good job, because I mean, it's challenging in Milwaukee to get some really good jobs. So when they don't have a really good job, do they look at how they can leverage those bills at the hospital, or are they just 100% responsible?
So we're talking about birth cost expenses right now. So just so you know, over the past year, we've forgiven over $67 million worth of birth cost expenses for fathers who had this debt on them, right?
That's
And-
wonderful.
And yeah, you got the letter, and
Got the letter.
and thanks to like the county exec, and we were able to forgive $67 million worth of birth cost expenses. And right now, fathers don't, or non-custodial parents do not owe those birth cost expenses.
Hey, listen, so you're at the county level, okay? And I
Yes.
imagine a lot of this is at the state level. So what is it that you can do at the county level to help with some of these penalties or fees or whatever these guys are due?
Advocate on the state level, and one thing that we've done, and with the state support, is our Back on Track program. We have a Back on Track program to assist child support payers in resolving outstanding issues to improve their compliance with payment obligations. So, and the incentive was, if you come in, if you give us a call, if you pay $1 for every $1 you pay, then we work with the state to forgive $2, right? And so since we started that program, we received over 230 calls, and to date we've forgiven $479,000. And it just take fathers, it takes non-custodial parents to just give us a call. And sometimes, and that's why I'm bringing the services to the community now, saying this is different. This is not what you think it was. This is different. Child support services that we're transforming from a punitive approach to a approach where we want to connect with you so we can resolve those outstanding issues.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was like, so what do you say to the man who's out there who might want to come on a Monday, but is afraid that if he shows up, they're gonna arrest him? I
want to say, just if you can, I've been down that road as far as paying child support, and I want to build the trust. I want to leverage our community partners. I'm even working hard to I'm sponsoring Real Men Real Talk now. So I reached out to Quabbana. I actually have a few cash card kiosks now that we're going to place at the King Center. We're going to place at G's Clippers. Shout out to G's Clippers. He's going to be there on the 31st as well. He will speak. However, I'm leveraging my brothers and sisters in the community now. That's one thing that I felt that child support failed to do in the past, was leverage the community. So instead of the government taking the accountability approach, I want us as a community to sit down with each other. And there's times where, like you said, there's absentee fathers. I mean, some fathers are absent. But I don't want to tell you you're absent from a government standpoint. I want brothers and sisters to sit you down and say, hey man, you know you have a child. You know we need to take care of our you got to take care of the village, right? And so I want to leverage our community partners, fatherhood programs to run with Fathers Making Progress.
So I want to ask you this question. Is there anything that men can do as far as when the child support threat is used against them, and it's not that they're not taking care of their child, but they know that it's automatic once the woman goes down and tell the judge, you haven't done anything. And the majority of the time you have men that's in these relationships that when you go buy your kids when you're in a relationship, you don't think to keep the receipts.
Right.
You don't think none of that, because you're in a relationship with this person. But when you break up and they go down to the courts and tell the judge you've never done anything, and of course you don't have receipts to prove that you have, they put every single man in that category of deadbeat. Because I had 5 years in prison stay for child support and I take care of my kids.
Oh my God.
I was at MSDF 23-1. So this whole topic is real touchy to me, because I'm still dealing with this.
Wow.
Right.
So for a person like what was just said here, what's your recommendations? What can your program do to help this situation? Because there's a lot of similarities here when people are listening today.
Right.
So what do you suggest?
I suggest you take my card, number one.
Man,
it looks like me and you.
Mr. Landon, he's right in the same lane of what I wanted to ask you. Retroactively, as you know, there are people that are serving time for child support. Something as, and I'm not going to say simple as, but there are folks that's doing real time for failure to pay child support. Is there anything that could be done retroactively to assist those folks? And I can appreciate where we're going forward with it, but what can we do retroactively to assist these folks?
I can say this. There has been programs where our staff have went into MSDF. We've gone into the CRC, the house correction, used to be called house correction, to assist or take a look at different cases where people are incarcerated and their cases are still going, right? Their orders are still open, and then they're just continue to build in arrears.
Yeah.
And so I can say that this is going to be a heavy lift, because there's a lot to clean up.
Where were you about 50 years ago when the system was completely out of whack? Where were you? Or somebody in your mind, like mindset, is what I'll say.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I do know that I've been on one side of child support. I was a payer. I know how I feel to be in front of a judge or a commissioner, and I really want to stress that child support services, we're not connected with what happens in court. We're not on the bench. So your experiences in court is different.
Right, because that's an order. You just enforcing the order. Is that what it is?
Right. And so how you deal with me and my staff is going to be different than what happened to you in the courts. So, and I really want the public to know that, because we're switching our paradigm, right? We're changing our mindsets to be able to serve our participants in a more holistic way, in a more friendly way. I mean, it has to change.
It really underscores how broken the system is, because we could have another conversation next time, and we could have a group of women, and they will be talking about how they don't get any support. They're raising these kids by themselves. They're working 2 jobs. It's a problem. And so but what are like you say you guys you're offering services for some of these fathers. What kind of services are you offering, and what can be done to help them?
So on this event, we're gonna have all of our W-2 agencies out there, and they have a plethora of services that they're connected to. We also will have Fathers Making Progress there. We have Unite Wisconsin, Bria Grant. Al Holmes will be on site with My Father's House, and so we have community partners. It's just I'm just making my connections. We didn't do this 2 years ago. I don't think child support enforcement really cared to even do this. But right now, all I can say is, March 31st, we're gonna come together and we're gonna figure this thing out. Another thing that I wanted to do, I think I'm going to do this, listening to some of the feedback, is begin a community advisory council for child support services, where we'll have those with experience paying child support, and then those who, like you said, mothers, to sit in a room, and so we can talk about what we can do and give some ideas about how we can move going forward. Because at the end of the day, child support is we are who we are. It starts with the family, though. Like it starts with the family, and when you come to my door, that means things are broken. So how do we prevent this?
Let me share this with you, Mr. Landon. I went down and I sat there all day. I didn't know what I was doing. I just showed up at the little family court commissioner thing. I'm sitting there thinking, sooner or later they're going. I signed in. Well, nobody ever called me. So I get in there, and a young lady by the name of Sheila Parrish, Judge Parrish's daughter, says, so why you've been sitting here? What are you here for? I told her what I was there for. She said, well, man, they ain't gonna never call you. She said, well, here's what you need to do. Now, she works for the state. She's on behalf of the state. So when she got through walking me over here and said, now we got to have her served, and she walked me to that department. We got to go here and we got to file, the paperwork over here, and this, that, and the other. The long and the short is, when the day was done and all of the proceedings were done, I ended up with custodial custody. She ended up owing me back pay and child support and all of the above. So I want to dispel one myth as the reason I brought it up. It's not a woman's state. Don't ever let it's not about the woman. It's about who does right, who does the follow through and all of the things that happen, because anybody that's trying to do the right thing for their child can have custody of their child and be owed the same thing. So it's not just they beating up on men. It's just that predominantly men are the ones who don't do the right thing, because she gonna follow through. She gonna have you served. She gonna have you in court. She gonna go back and readjust that order because she found out you got another job. Don't let you have another baby by another woman, and she gonna go back. She gonna order it. They're gonna take about. No, I'm just messing with y'all. But yeah,
Right.
it's not just men. I think women are in the same situation in some instances as well.
You know, I have a question for you, Mr. Landon. You're doing a lot of work as far as after the courts. Is there a way that there can be something done to help men when they're getting ready to go to court, or to like have somebody like Debo mentioned to kind of walk them through? I mean, you were very blessed and fortunate
yeah.
to have that situation, but it's almost like you're doing it after the effects.
Right.
And sometimes you're trying to clean up what maybe could have been a little bit more proactive. And so I was just wondering, are there any programs that can help people like Debo when they're going in there, how they can walk them through?
Uh, right now, I'm like I said, I was sponsoring Real Men and Real Talk,
Okay.
and I am trying to get out and educate. I've learned that the barbershop talks and all the myths that are thrown out there. I'm really, I'm in this position. I'm only one person,
Yes, yes, yes.
and I'm still trying to change the paradigm within the organization itself. And so, and how do I get this out there?
Right,
I need to
right,
find teammates, right?
right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. I've been in
Okay.
this position for 11 months, and there's a lot more to do. It's a heavy lift.
You know, we're gonna come back and have more discussion with artist Landon and also David Muhammad, who is the Deputy Director of Milwaukee County's Department of Health and Human Services as well. So we're going to still have more conversation about this, and just join us back. If you have questions or concerns, you can try calling us at 414-444-5250. And then also you can try calling us at 414-444-5253. This is Karen Dotson, Program Director at the Medical College of Wisconsin, and Dr. Kevin Izzard, our family practice physician.
favorite song.
I want to welcome everybody back. This is Karen Dotson, Program Director from the Medical College of Wisconsin. And I have along with me Dr. Kevin Izzard, who is a family medicine physician, along with co-investigator for our All of Us research program.
Good morning, Milwaukee.
Yeah, we having a hot topic today.
That's right. Jermaine really hot over here.
Jermaine,
He got
you know,
out of this.
But you know what? He's just showing us the frustration that a lot of our men are having. And we have with us Mr. Artis Landon, who is administrator of child support services at the Milwaukee County. And he is here really to talk about a special event that's going to be happening this Monday. Next Monday. Can you okay. So I'm jumping the gun a little bit. I'm kind of excited about it, but it gives people a little bit more time to clear their schedule. So can you tell us that, Mr. Landon, what exactly is going to be happening?
So Monday, March 31st, we are opening one of our 7 satellite locations, and we are collaborating with our Martin Luther King Center. And so what's going to happen is our child support services will take place not only in the courthouse but at the King Center, and so we will have staff there meeting and serving our participants. Those payers, child support payers, even our custodial parents are able to come in and check on their cases, look at modification opportunities. If there's arrears, you can pay your payments there. We will have a cash card kiosk there as well. And so for those, we talked about those who work for cash, they're able to come in and make their payments instead of going to the courthouse. And so that event is just letting everyone know that we're in the community now.
Is that going to be what's happening in some of those other satellite locations that you'll be having as well? Can you explain what's going to be happening with that?
Yeah, so those other satellite locations, we've partnered with our W-2 agencies, and so one of them is America Works, the other one is Ross, UMOS, and then Maximus, and so we will have case managers there as well. So when a father needs to go have services and he lives on Brown Deer, and on Brown Deer Road, he can stop in Ross instead of going to the courthouse. And so we're just trying to make it, like I said, accessible to our participants throughout the county. Even on the south side, you have UMOS who's participating in this as well. Another location is our Marsha P. Cogg Center. We will also have case managers there, and we will also have a cash kiosk there as well.
You know, I'm wondering. I don't want to put you on the spot. We got four black men in this room, and 3 of them, have this issue with child support. How do we know any numbers? With how common is this in our community? What percent of black men are somehow involved with paying child support, having issues with it?
I'm not sure the percentage of black men that pay child support. I do know that most of my friends, as a matter of fact, when I took this position, they called me up and said, "Man, what are you crazy? What are you doing?"
Trying to help you. You trying to help, right? Yeah.
What are you doing? You on the other side,
right?
However, if you want to change things, you have to get in the game. And I do appreciate the support I get from the county exec. I got executive director Shakita LeGrand, even deputy director Muhammad. I'm happy to be a part of a team that want to serve families. And that's what I want to do in this position. I want to serve families, even if it's, supporting and advocating for fathers to be in the home, fathers to be treated with dignity, and with our services, and as well as in the courthouse.
Well, I look at it, number one is that by you having this experience, it makes you more knowledgeable because you walked through those same similar steps. And so when your friends were saying that, I can see that it's kind of like a calling that,
Right.
that you're coming out to really help the community, to help men, and also it could be women,
Right.
to help individuals that have this child support challenge of having arrears, or not knowing exactly how to walk through that process. And you want to make sure that they just don't run from it, because if they run from it, it gets worse.
It gets worse.
And it keeps building up, because I was just asking you about the interest on what people owe, and you like, yeah, there is an interest rate. And some of those things that they come in, it sounds like you all will try to negotiate and look to see how they can benefit them in that area. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. So there's a few things that we're doing, with our Back on Track program. We're evaluating cases, identify financial problems, educating payers, people who pay. We're providing information about options related to placement, custody, debts, including referrals to special sessions. We do have Milwaukee Justice Center to there to help, and so that's a great tool where fathers can go and have assistance filling out their paperwork to be able to file a motion or stipulation. And so it's just educating and being there for the community.
Yeah. Karen, I kind of touched on this earlier. What can we do proactively to try to make sure this doesn't become an issue? We talked about even, Karen was talking about before you actually get into the court system, but even before that, we got, I think a lot of people don't realize, but when they sign that birth certificate, you're already are getting yourself, into that system. So, what can we do proactively to make sure that that we're not ruining guys' lives by saddling them with a debt at some of them maybe even minors, and they pick up this debt and it travels with them the rest of their life, and it's it's limiting what they can do.
Education, getting to our youth in high school, and I mean, like you just mentioned, we do have young fathers out there more and more, and so how do we prevent that? I say we leverage our community partners, and this is a issue that when it gets to my door, now there's some certain actions that I'm statutorily required to take. Now we do, like I said, have our Back on Track program. We do have other services, and we just want to get into community and leverage our community partners right now.
Yeah. It seems that our society is getting more and more enamored with people who are tough on crime. But we hear it all the time now: tough on crime, and there's no consideration of what's going to work best for for everybody involved. Because again, it's not just the mama and the daddy, but the kids are involved too. And so you ruin relationships with your kids, because of all this stuff.
Exactly. So I wanted to make sure that we have enough time to have some discussion also with David Muhammad. David Muhammad is the Deputy Director of the County's Department of Health and Human Services. And David, we want to welcome you this morning. Thank you for squeezing us in.
Mr. Muhammad, how you doing? Long time no see.
Hey, good. Yeah, right. Good morning. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes.
I regret joining by Zoom because I love WNOV. Shout out to Debo, to Carvey, to Alex, Mary Ellen, Mr. Jones, and you all for the service that you do for the community. So thank you.
We've been having some really strong discussion about child support, and actually talking with Mr. Landon. We want to thank you both for acknowledging the importance of getting more involved in our communities with these programs. And so wanted to also mention that you are doing something with Healing for Our Youth. There was an event that happened.
Yeah. Actually, I went to this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it ahead of time, so I kind of came in cold, but I was impressed. So we talk about gun violence in Milwaukee, and especially as it relates to our youth. And it seems like there's a program that they want to try to initiate that's going to target some of the youth that are the highest risk ones for committing gun violence, either shooting somebody or using a gun in a legal manner, and then trying to do something proactive to get them back on track, and to prevent future violence. You want to talk about that, Mr. Muhammad? What that program is? And
Sure, I'd be happy to. So there's already a lot of programs, and that's one of the main messages why we had that meeting was because so much is happening in the community that the community, number one, needs to know about, that is making an impact, but is making an impact in pockets and areas of the city and with small populations. And it is much more cost effective than the things that we have seen. You can still have accountability without kind of a disinvestment in young people, a disinvestment in neighborhoods, and the resources that stabilize communities and make us safer. So Wednesday night we had a strategy session. It was not. It's an event, but it's not the kind of thing that we see in the community where a big announcement, a press conference, or some type of media event. This was a room full of people committed to the work. I would say 80% of those in attendance were representatives of community groups that are working to stop violence in various parts of the city. So you had all of the major organizations doing something, and a lot of the grassroots folks as well. Vaughn Mays was there. You had folks from the City of Milwaukee's Office of Community Wellness and Safety. You had the Christian Center. You had 4-1 for Life. You had the Youth Advocate Program. You had folks from the Boys and Girls Club there. And you had all of these groups that are doing something with young people and young adults. And what we've seen over the last 2 years has been double-digit reductions in homicides and non-fatal shootings among youth, upwards of 20% for the ages of 0 to 25 and into the late 20s. And so we're seeing positive things, and we're seeing it at a time where there's less resources in the community, and quite frankly, where law enforcement does not have the numbers that it previously had on the street. So something is happening that's influencing people to make better decisions. And we want to quantify that. We know it costs a whole lot of money to lock people up. It's upwards of $450,000 a year to lock up one young person.
Say it again.
And
Right, that number. Give us that number.
You want me to say that
Yes.
number again? Okay, $450,000 a
For
year
one person.
to lock a young person up in correctional facilities. And there are proposals in the budget now to double that to $800,000 for one. There's a major social cost, psychological and social, to the impact of gun violence in our communities. It costs the system a lot of money, and it costs us a spiritual, psychological, and social toll with all of the violence that we see, particularly among groups of young people. But even greater than that, that needs to be messaged is the amount that it costs to reinvest, to prevent, and to work with a young person, a young adult, or a returning citizen who has been involved in gun violence, and prevent and change the behavior is about $30,000.
Think about what you could do with
And-
a $500,000 a kid.
Right.
Well, and that's why we're talking about these things. That's why I'm glad Artis is there. Shout out to him and his team at the Child Support Services service area of DHHS. He has a phenomenal team of staff who are helping him transform that area. I heard my brother earlier talking about where were you 50 years ago? Where were you 5 years ago?
Right.
So this is a Herculean lift, and he's got a team of people helping to do that, in addition to myself and Director Shakita LeGrant McLean to help make this happen. Child Support Services became a part of DHHS just a couple of years ago, and we are working so that we can serve families and young people. And so this is a part of that work. The event on Wednesday was to inform a youth and young adult gun violence reduction strategy for this year and for the next coming years, due to some funding that we received, and the programs and investments that we have at DHHS in partnership with others like the Medical College of Wisconsin and others in the communities.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to use this to help incorporate the community's feedback and then guide our efforts. So we're committed to this.
You said a key word. You said investment. And I think that's where we're missing things right now, is that we're forgetting that if you don't invest in these kids, you don't get a payout later. And so as we talk about cutting services to kids in school, kind of the school lunch program, cutting these programs that are going to work with kids, even some inclusion and diversity programs. We're cutting these things, and so we're going to see 20 years from now, we're going to see the effects of that.
Absolutely. And I hear the music, so I won't stretch
Well,
out.
I do
but,
have a question for you. Do you,
yes, ma'am.
it's going to take maybe a few minutes before we come back on. Will you have time after the break, or will we have to just get you back on at another time?
I can stay up till the 8 o'clock
Okay.
hour.
Okay.
We'll have to get you back in the future.
But why don't we do this? Why don't we just bring you back at another time where you're not rushed? Because I know you kind of just allow for us to talk to you. So I appreciate the time, and we'll just finish up the time with Mr. Landon, so that way you can get ready for your next meeting.
I will, but if I could just make
Please.
one announcement, we'll be doing another community meeting similar to the one Wednesday in April, and it will have a topic that all can engage in, and we'll make sure you know.
Well, maybe we can make sure we have you some time on our show, so that way you can also bring that beforehand, so people can be aware.
Yes,
I appreciate your time.
All right, brother.
Thank you,
Stay
brother.
safe.
Take care, Dad.
This is Karen Dotson from the Medical College of Wisconsin. I have Dr. Kevin Izzard, family practice physician, and also artist Landon, who is administrator of child support services at Milwaukee County. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back to have more discussion about this topic, and then we're going to switch over a little bit and start talking about colon cancer. And I know that's completely different than what we talked about this morning, but it also is the month for that. So we want to make sure people get themselves together. So we'll see you back on the other side. for joining us at the table today. This is Karen Dotson, Program Director at the Medical College of Wisconsin. I have along with me my favorite doctor.
Good morning. Good morning.
Dr.
Pull up a chair. Join us at the table.
Dr. Kevin Izzard. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. And we have also with us artist Landon, who is the administrator for child support services at the Milwaukee County. We have a caller on the line, so we're going to open it up for this caller at this time. Good morning, caller. Thanks for joining us at the table. Okay, it looks like we lost that person. They kind of hung up, or it hung them up. But Mr. Landon, we only have a few more minutes with you, but I wanted to make sure that you tell the community what it is that you're doing, why you want to make sure that they know about this event on March 31st, and what's going to happen after that.
Sure. Thank you. So what we're doing March 31st is we're hosting an event at the King Center. This event will officially launch our 7 new satellite locations for child support services. Why are we doing this is because we're trying to make our services accessible to our participants, our payers, our non-custodial parents, our custodial parents, so that we can meet them where they are instead of coming to the courthouse. We're in a community.
And so this is going to be a great event. What time is this on March 31st?
It starts at 10 o'clock, or it starts at 10:30 and it ends at 4. There will be food, there will be resources. Our W-2 agencies will be on site, as well as our driver's license recovery partner, WCS. And then we will have our case managers on site to be able to handle those who want to inquire about their cases at that time. We will also have G from G's Clippers, as well as Quabanat Nixon. The county exec would be on to be able to give words and words of encouragement as well.
So it sounds like there's going to be a program at the beginning. Is that what's happening? So kind of walk us through what's going to happen that day.
So what's going to happen that day is we're going to have a press conference, and so we're inviting the media out to be able to set up, and the county exec will give his remarks, and then our executive director, Department of Health and Human Services, Shakita LeGrand, will be on hand too. I will say a few words, and then we will have a representative, Miss D from the King Center. She will also give words, and then G, and then Kwamina. And so after that, we will be able to, that's when the laptop giveaway will happen through Empower, thanks to United Way. And then we will have lunch. Everybody will have access to those resources, so it'll be free for all, and you can just take advantage of our resources that day.
So for people that don't have like that entire time, can they still drop in and have some conversation with some of those people they're going to be having their tables?
Absolutely. They'll be setting up at 9:30. Everything will be set up at 10 o'clock, and they'll have the chance to meet who they need to meet. And then they can also reach out to.
Okay. So if people want to pop in and they might not have enough time, they can still get cards and make connections and things like that. Absolutely. Is that what you encourage as well?
Absolutely. And that just marks the event, but moving forward, we're going to be in the King Center 4 days a week. So
that's great.
They're free to come back. And then if, like I said, they can go to one of our 4 W-2 partners, and then also they can come to the courthouse. I'm sure that's where we don't want to be.
We know it's challenging
Right.
trying to find parking, or, just going through all the different challenges to get in the building. So when are they going to start being at the King Center, your staff?
That's going to be Monday through Thursday.
That'll start. So the kickoff is at 31st. Is that what's happening?
31st. And then the 1st is they'll be there.
The next day.
They're settled in, yes.
Okay. And so you mentioned 4 days a week. So is that like Monday through Thursday, or what are the days?
The days at the King Center is Monday through Thursday.
Okay, great. I was just wondering. So Friday. So that lets people know exactly what to expect. And so it sounds like you're going to have staff at some of those other site locations too. And so I'm quite sure you'll be having more information out there in the community for people.
Absolutely. I just want to give a phone number, 414-615-2593, or you can go to our website, and that website will take you exactly to the page where you will see what site we're going to be at.
Okay, so what's the
each day.
address for the website, the link?
That's Milwaukee, MILWCSE, Milwaukee Child Support Enforcement, at MilwaukeeCounty.gov.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, tell me this. So, for people who might be working during the day, is there a time where they can hit you guys like they're late, either Saturday or after hours?
So we do have another program called Child Support Our Neighborhood, where we pop up at a library, and this is an afternoon or evening program from 5 to 9. You can also see where we're going to be at on our website.
Okay.
Okay. And then also that number, can you give it again? Because then that way, and I'm going to ask you to repeat it kind of slow so people have a chance
Sure.
to grab a pen, some paper, write it down, because this is something that they definitely want to make sure that they can call in, and then they can have more information about where you're going to be, right?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. Can you give that number?
That is for additional support. Call 414-615-2593.
Wow. It's been a pleasure
It has
having you
been.
today.
It has been.
We had great conversation in the studio, about concerns that people are experiencing, life experiences related to child support. And so I can't wait to see what's going to happen with this.
Right.
And
I appreciate you all having me on as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just delighted that Mr. Landon decided to come at the studio, and I even realized I've been knowing him more years than I even can remember. And so it's always good, Mr. Landon,
Thank
to
you.
have you here, and we'll definitely have to have you back, and so you can give us a report on how
Right.
things are going, and we're
Definitely.
hoping and praying that things are going to be going better, especially for the issues related to child support. So thank you for joining us
Yeah,
today.
Thank you
Thank you.
all.
All
Appreciate it.
right. All right. This is Karen from the All of Us Research Program at the Medical College of Wisconsin, and Dr. Kevin Izzard. We're going to change the focus now, because this is a health issue that is acknowledged this month, and it's colon cancer. And so we're going to have some of our guests come on. And I always say this is going to be one of our guests. And I know it's Deb Nevels, but I don't even look at her as being a guest, but being one of my partners, along with the work that we've been doing on WNOV. So good morning, Deb. Good to see you.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
We
You
can
sound
hear
nice
you.
and clear.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. She's
Awesome.
she's
Thank
joining us virtually today, because
Yes.
they've been putting a lot of work on my girl. So
Yeah.
I'm just getting a little worried about her, but I'm glad that you were able to join us on this
Yes.
important effort, an issue related to colon cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Deb, she is the program manager at the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Center Community Outreach Engagement. And she has been engaging in the community for a long time, and she wears many hats as far as what she is doing with her work that she's doing at the medical college. And when we talk about colon cancer, I want to make sure that we have a few more minutes with Dr. Kevin Izzard, that he can speak a little bit about colon cancer. And then, Deb, you're going to dive into a little bit more about what is happening related to colon cancer this month. And then we're going to also have another special guest that'll be joining us as well.
Yeah, that colon cancer is one of the colorectal cancer is one of the major cancer screens that we start usually. Well, we start at 45. It used to be 50. So some of you might have heard that, when you turn 50, you had to get that colonoscopy. Well, they moved it back to 45. And the reason why is, as we started universally screening people, we started finding that a lot more people had these advanced polyps at 50 than they expected. And of course, we want to catch these things early. And the idea with doing the colonoscopy is that if you can detect a polyp early enough, you can actually prevent a cancer. All the other screens we do for cancer, like mammograms and pap smears and prostate cancer screening, we're actually trying to detect the early cancer and treat it. This is one of the few tests we can do that's actually going to prevent a cancer. And so a lot of people have heard about the colonoscopy. Now there's other screenings you can do. You can do the Cologuard. Some of you have seen that. on TV, and that's for people that are low to average risk. So, people, if you have a family history of colon cancer, or you've had an abnormal uh, uh, pap smear, not pap smear, but colonoscopy in the past, or you have known polyps, then that test would not be appropriate for you. So I usually try to push people to get the colonoscopy for the reason that, one, if they find something, they can take it out right then. You don't have to come back and do it. Number two, it's covered by the insurance. And that's another thing that I warn people too, is that, if something happens that, now that we have a new administration and things are changing, if the Affordable Care Act is repealed, you're probably going to lose that ability to get that colonoscopy as a covered test. Right now, the Affordable Care Act mandates that insurance companies cover screening tests like colonoscopies and mammograms and pap smears and prostate cancer screening. If that mandate goes away, you can almost be assured that the insurance company is going to charge you for those tests, and they're not cheap for a colonoscopy. So that's another reason that that you should get that colonoscopy. The other thing too is that when they do the colonoscopy, we can also check for other things like hemorrhoids or other things. We talk about colorectal cancer. It's not just colon cancer, but which is most of it, but rectal cancer too, and you can you can detect that when you do that colonoscopy. So it's not as bad as people think.
Yeah. So, I think that's always been the challenge. People are like, I don't know if I want to get this done. But what I'm hearing, knowing that it's covered right now through our insurances and um, through other programs, we definitely want to get in and try to get that done. And so, Deb, that's why you're really pushing that this month too, as well. Am I correct on that, Deb?
Yes, March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and Dr. Izzard, you will probably, and our guest Erica will probably agree with me. One of the things that's key to get ahead of this is to first and foremost know your family history. Because if you know your family history and there is a history of colon cancer and other cancers in your family, your doctor can advocate for it being medically necessary to get the colonoscopy. And that is what the key word is, medically necessary.
Right.
And that helps with the insurance company to say that, okay, since it's medically necessary, it is necessary for us to do the colonoscopy. For some people, the Cologuard and other tests are okay, but as Dr. Izzard said, that is for individuals who are at low risk. And many of us, because of things such as stress level, because of our diet, because of weight, we are at a higher risk. And because of other comorbidities or other factors and ways that other health issues, it puts us at a higher risk. And again, as I've said time and time again, you all can go ahead and get sick of me saying it, but secrets kill. So within our families, we've got to talk about it. And that's why it's so important. As Dr. Izzard said, this is a preventable cancer. Once they find the polyps, they can remove the polyps. And it's the only one that we can prevent before it goes into stages where it gets it moves into stages where it is more difficult to treat, or the treatment is so aggressive that it does a lot of changes to your life.
Right.
And so we'd rather catch it when we can get the polyps out with the colonoscopy.
So, Dr. Izzard, you mentioned like at age around 45, people should start getting it, but sooner if they have a history in their family.
Right. So we want to get it takes about 10 years for a polyp to turn into a cancer. So that's the reason we start screening at 45, is because we start seeing cancers, around, late 50s, 60s. Okay. So we want to get it 10 years before. If you have a first degree relative, a brother, a sister, a parent who had colon cancer, if they had it at an early age, let's say that, at 50, they had colon cancer, we want to wait till 50 to start screening you. We want to start screening you at 40. Okay. So you want to get that, 10 years before. And if they find a polyp, usually what they'll do is they'll biopsy. So they'll snare it, because they're going in with the scope, and they can snare it and remove the polyp, and they send it off for pathology. If it looks like one of these highly suspicious types of polyps that tend to turn into a cancer, they might have you come back in 3 years. Or if they find multiple polyps, they might have you come back in 3 years to repeat it. If they find a few and they look like the common non-suspicious ones, you might have to come back in 5 years. But usually if they find something, you're going to be coming back probably in about 5 years to have repeat, because again, we want to make sure we stay ahead of the cancer.
So what are the ages that people really should consider doing this? We said start at 45. When do
45
they,
for average
so
risk.
when
Yeah.
do you suggest, how the age of stopping to get that checked?
That's a good question. So generally about 75, but we were thinking that because people are living a lot longer now, and so it used to be that people's lifespan was 77 years, and so we figure, okay, you 75, you probably got a couple years left anyway. If we don't find a cancer, and it takes 10 years for a pop to become a cancer, you're probably fine. But now we got people living in 100, 90s, 100. So we'll probably readdressing how long we should be going with these screening. Same thing with a mammogram. Same thing goes with prostate cancer screening.
I wanted to make sure that we introduce our other guests, and that's Erica Sinclair, founder and CEO for Health Connections. She has over 30 years of experience in international domestic public health and clinic operations. She has managed several clinical practices programs for over 17 years within the greater Milwaukee area. She's currently working in international and domestic settings and has given the vision to embark on this new adventure. And welcome.
She's got a master's in clinical laboratory science too.
Now,
So she's not a slouch.
Right, microbiology as well. So thank you, doctor. I understand some things. I
yeah,
understand.
you do. Welcome. And Deb was so adamant about getting you on today because of the work that you do in the community, and we want to thank you for that. And just kind of tell us a little bit, Ms. Sinclair, the work that you're doing and about your company as well.
Sure. So Health Connection Incorporated, thank you for having me, first of all. Thank you, Deb. You always take care of me. We appreciate it. The organization I have is Health Connection Incorporated. We are an independent medical clinic located on Port Washington Road, 1 block south of Hampton. So 4655 North Port Washington Road. And what we do is, because my background is public health and I am a healthcare administrator, I see healthcare with a different types of lens that most people do. My lens tends to be very much population health, community, focused kind of things. Healthcare access and health equity are the areas of focus for us. And we do it through not only just the clinical care direct care that we give for primary care, HIV care and treatment, and transgender health. When we intentionally work with the hardest populations, because our goal is to help them navigate the healthcare system. And part of what I do is help even the healthcare providers assist them with making sure that the experience that people have even in their systems is one that is going to have a great health outcome. And a lot of times that's very much socially related. How you greet people, how you make them feel welcome, how you make them feel safe in your space. And that matters regardless of where you are. You need to feel welcome, especially in healthcare. And we especially dealing with African-American people who don't trust healthcare as it is. And so we really have to have obligation as a healthcare system to figure out ways to make that not be the barrier.
So is this actually a lab or is it a counseling center?
No, it's a medical clinic.
It's a
medical clinic.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask.
I had to be in there.
Explain to us who really comes to your clinic, and you mentioned some of the services, but just kind of let us know a little bit more about it, because I don't know if everybody know about your clinic. And also repeat that address, because you said it kind of fast and I want people to be able to write it down or to really know what's going on. So Ms. Sinclair.
Sure. It's 4655 North Port Washington Road, Suite 300. And it's Health Connections Incorporated.
Yeah, it's kind of not too far from that Home Depot, just to give people
exactly. So you further up. If you know where the Holiday Inn is on the river, we're right across the street from there.
Oh, I know exactly where you're talking about.
You'll see Children's Wisconsin on the building because they have the largest area. but we're on the 3rd floor. We've been there for 10
Yeah,
years. This is actually our 10-year anniversary, by the way. We've been there for 10 years.
Oh,
You've been there for 10
congratulations.
years. So tell us about the patients who
Sure.
really comes to your clinic and who can come.
Sure. Anybody can come. And I'm going to tell you why. We're both a free and charitable clinic as well as a clinic that takes insurance. And we did that on purpose because being a free and charitable clinic totally, that means that once we help you get insurance, because that's what we do, we're going to help you get insurance, then you would have to have left and then go to another clinic. So we intentionally, my board and I intentionally created a hybrid model for our services so that people can stay with us. And the people that come to our clinic, it's everybody. You would really be surprised. We have a lot of people who take care of people come to our clinic. So who do I mean? Other nurses, doctors, their families from other health systems, and primarily because we're not in Epic. So people can't see our stuff.
What? You're not an Epic?
I'm not an Epic on purpose.
Epic is the health record system that a lot of
Yes.
providers and hospitals use.
Yes, but we intentionally are not on Epic. One, Epic is expensive, and we are definitely a nonprofit, and we are not at that level as far as finances are concerned. But the other piece of it is that we do trust, we do cherish people's anonymity, and so we want to make sure that they're, especially with the conditions that we're working with people on, it's primary care, but it's also, people come get STI testing, people that have HIV, that get their care from us, as well as people that are transgender or LGBTQ+. So we cherish people being, their privacy. And people understand that and they respect that. So we intentionally do not have Epic, but yet we are, in addition to that, we just give good care. I employ nurse practitioners, MDs. We are a clinical site for several schools. And we have, and I'm always sending my people back to school. I have someone that's at school at UWM right now to be a nurse practitioner. And then we have another nurse that's going to be starting in the fall. And then we have a CHW. We have the first class of community health workers that are apprentice with the state. We have one of those in my clinic as well. So we're serious about workforce development. Healthcare workforce development is one of my passions, if you can't tell.
So what are your hours for your clinic?
We tend to be open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. But anybody can call us at 414-999-1099 to make an appointment, and then we can get you in.
Yeah.
So do you also partner with some of the other like FQHCs, federally qualified health centers, and other clinics? Can you kind of explain that to us a little bit so people will know exactly, how you operate?
Absolutely. So one big thing, I used to work for these systems. I used to work at Aurora. I used to work at Milwaukee Health Services. So I understand how they work and how health systems work. I used to also work at the Centers for Disease Control. So I have again, that public health lens about how we all have to work together to take care of our patients. And so if I have services that, if Milwaukee Health Services, they have this amazing mammogram machine that people love. And so I'll send somebody there to take care of their mammogram. I will send someone to Medical College of Wisconsin. We send people there all the time to Freighter. I have somebody that has kidney disease, and he wanted to stay with us because of how we treat him. And I had to convince him he has to go over there because that's not the level of care that we can give you here. Mm-hmm. So we have to really help him get over there and get comfortable, so that and I feel like that's an obligation that all health systems have, is that if we don't have the resources in-house, then you have an obligation, an ethical obligation to get people where they need to go.
So you mentioned charitable care. So does that mean it's you're doing a sliding scale then, or will you take people who don't have insurance at all?
We do, and then we help them get insurance. Mm-hmm. So we work with Covering Wisconsin as one of our big partners as well, to help facilitate that. So Covering Wisconsin will send staff to people's homes, meet them at the coffee shop, and they also come to our clinic and just meet them in our conference room.
Yeah. What percent of people do you think actually are still uninsured?
Oh, that number is getting bigger, by the way, because insurance is so high, and people are losing jobs and all that. So I would say the percentage of people in my clinic that are uninsured, it actually has some people that have been really stable for years. Now they don't have insurance. So that number is rising. I would say about 30 30 or 40% of our patients do not have insurance. And we're still working with them to get insurance and to make sure that they get the care that they need. We try to do our best not to change the quality. We don't change the quality. The quality is the quality. But what we do try to change is what how much they pay for medications. What are some pathways we can help them, do those things. So our staff is well versed in managing these obstacles, because that's what we do. We remove barriers.
We have a caller on the line. We've been having some challenges with trying to get them hooked up here, but it looks like they're on the line. Good morning, caller. Thank you for joining us at the table this morning.
Oh, good morning. Thank you. I had a question. How does Cologuard detect polyp versus when you go in and they look inside you? I never really understood that. Does your polyp go on your stool? Is that how they can tell?
Yeah, you want to answer that or what?
No, you go ahead, Doc.
Yeah. So what they're looking for is actually they take the stool, they spin it down, and they're looking for abnormal cells. So those polyps will actually, depending on how abnormal they are, will when they do the analysis of the cells, they'll come up looking abnormal. And what happened then, and they're also looking for blood too. So you shouldn't really have blood in your stool. But when they see these things, if you have an abnormal Cologuard, they really recommend that you need to go in then and get a colonoscopy. So, and that's another advantage of doing the colonoscopy is that you don't have to go back and do 2 tests. So
and that's what I was thinking. So wouldn't it be better just to do the colonoscopy right from the beginning?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes, I
Yes,
think
yes,
sometimes
yes.
people are a little afraid of going all the way, and so if nothing else, this is like the alternative, at least getting them checked somewhat. Is that correct, you all?
Yeah, and one other thing too, and this is another common problem we're starting to see a lot more of, is that in particular guys, when you do the colonoscopy, they put you to sleep and they want you to have a ride when you leave. And so a lot of people can't get a ride, and so they might do the colonoscopy,
because you don't even know. You don't even know. You just wake back up in your room and you like, am I? You don't even. You'd be like, did y'all do it? And you'd be like, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing I want to say too. Experience, and I hope my wife ain't listening. She's like, why you put my business out there? But
well, why are you putting her business out there?
Okay, we'll be anonymous here. Go ahead.
But what they found, because if I'm not mistaken, I think they monitor your heart or something like that. Correct?
Yep.
And she couldn't get hers done, and we found out that she had some heart issues. So that was another thing that maybe you may want to do the colonoscopy just to make sure that your heart is okay too.
Yeah.
So they had to put her on some medication for her heart. But we would have never knew that if she probably would have did that Cologuard.
Right. Another thing that pops up too is sleep apnea. When they put people to sleep and they start snoring and snorting and stop breathing, a lot of people don't know they have sleep apnea, and they find it out when they go under the anesthesia.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I would recommend just going ahead and what's good with me, I didn't have to drink all that stuff because I thought something was wrong with me, because it's like, should you have 2 bowel movements a day? And they said, no, that's really good. So I didn't have to drink all that nasty stuff. They just gave me the Dotson or whatever, and I was good.
Okay.
So I didn't have to drink all that nasty stuff. I think that's why a lot of people don't want to do it either.
Yeah,
they have to drink that nasty stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe they should come up with some flavor stuff for people. Thank you, guys.
Grape or orange?
We can talk about that. We can talk about that.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back on the other side. We have along with us Dr. Kevin Izzard. He's going to be cutting out right now. He has to see patients, but we're going to still have Deb Nevels and also Erica Sinclair join us after the break. I'll see everybody on the other side.
My favorite song.
I want to welcome everybody back to sitting at the table with us today. I'm Karen Dotson, Program Director at the All of Us Research Program at the Medical College of Wisconsin. I have with me Deb Nevels, Program Director at the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Center, Community Outreach and Engagement, along with Erica Sinclair, Founder and CEO for Health Connects. We want to welcome you back and ask that you join us for this conversation. And you can always feel free to give us a call at 414-444-5250 or 414-444-5253. And Deb, I just want to mention that you shared some data with us around Black men and women are 20% more likely to get colorectal cancer and about 40% more likely to die from it compared to other racial groups. That's why it's so important that we get people, tested and they come in to get that done. So I wanted to talk a little bit more with you both about what does it look like sometimes when people don't go in for treatment, but then they start having problems. What kind of problems do they start seeing?
Yeah, you would be shocked. I can remember before joining the medical college, I worked for the American Cancer Society and worked very closely with Exact Sciences, which is the organization actually based in Madison that created the Cologuard. And this was when they were first starting to work with Cologuard and get it out into the community. And I was working with a hospital that was trying to get more individuals to utilize Cologuard, but they had such a high number of individuals that were coming in that were at later stages. And specifically, they mentioned 2 African-American men who came in to the emergency room because they were bleeding from their behind. And it was just to them, to the emergency docs, they were just like, I don't understand why they waited. And, part of what I was saying, okay, if you work, you have a family to take care of, your insurance is spotty. And this was before ACA, before the Obamacare or Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
You don't go to the hospital until, as my mother would say, until your arm's about to fall off. And so you wait to the last minute. And this is why there's such a high mortality or death rate with something like colorectal cancer, because we wait until the last minute. And oftentimes, we're caring for others. And our taking care of ourselves is a last priority. And we're trying to make sure everyone else is taken care of within the family. And it can be very difficult, and it can get to a point where you just don't do it. The other thing is what I said earlier. We don't talk about how Big Mama or Papa passed. We don't, and Papa doesn't talk about, anything that happened downstairs. We don't share that information. Because that's his personal business, and mind your business. And, you don't need to know nothing about that. So if it was colon cancer that Papa passed away from, no one's going to know until someone else in the family who's comfortable talking about it shares that information. And so it's really critical that we not only, talk about it, but call it what it is. And it's, if I can remember in my family, somebody, well, she had a blood issue. And I'm like, okay, what was that? What was it? High blood pressure? Was it diabetes? Was it, did she have difficult menstrual cycles? Was it cervical? There's so many things. Being, a health educator, I can go down a list of stuff. And it could be something very simple. She had very difficult cycles. And I was like, oh, okay. That's okay. That's something I need to know that. But at the same time, how to address it. But yeah, it's something that is, we wait until the last minute. And that's why, as Dr. Izzo said before he left, and Erica and I both agreed that the best thing is just to do the colonoscopy because we wait so long. And that is sometimes, I mean, the Cologuard might be easier. Fit kits might be easier. But the colonoscopy is the one that gets the polyps, tests the polyps, removes the polyps while they're in there, and then develop you with your doctor, you develop a plan of action for your next colonoscopy. And that's really critical. That's really, really important. One of the things too, in the comments, they were talking about the prep. And Erica can also attest to this. There's the prep has changed, folks. The prep is different, and it does depend upon what your doctor, what your insurance covers. But you can add. I found out the hard way. My husband and I, we do what my doctor calls couples colonoscopy. He goes one week, I go the next, or vice versa. And I went first and did mine, and did the big 2 liters of solution. And my husband had different insurance, and he did a different prep that wasn't as much solution. But they also told him he could add what's that, Crystal Light to his. And I was like, wait a minute. And then the doctor graded us and said he did better. And I was like, yeah, because he got to drink Crystal Light. But you can add flavoring to the prep. They do allow that because you can drink, you know, and it does make it a little bit easier. Chilling the prep, if that helps, drinking it through a straw can help. My thing is that you eat heavy meal. You schedule your colonoscopy for Monday. You eat your good meal on Friday. Saturday, you start to back off a little bit. And Sunday is when you do the prep. And so the deal is you do the prep until you're clear. And so if you don't eat crazy, which is harder to do during the week, but if you don't eat like crazy, your prep goes a lot smoother because you're not trying to get rid of a lot of stuff in your bowel because you've kind of tapered off on Saturday. So then Sunday, when you're doing the broth and the jello, you're not trying to get rid of a steak and spaghetti and greens and all the rest. You've eaten light on Saturday, gotten rid of that on Saturday, and then Sunday you're not doing so bad. And then Monday you go in early in the morning and then plan a really good lunch, for Monday afterwards. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. But yeah, that's talking to your doctor, as Erica said, having that relationship, having that primary doctor that's going to listen to you, understand your fears, is really key and really important.
I wanted to ask you, Erica Sinclair, and just to let people know she's the founder and CEO of Health Connections. Why is this so important when people come in to get their historical information about some family members? It's really important. And why is it important, Erica?
Absolutely. So if you have a family member that had a condition, especially for cancer, it runs in the family. So you really want to know what cancer they have, which kind. My grandmother had ovarian, like I didn't know that. And so as a kid, grandma she's not here anymore, but you just kind of don't know. And you do get to a stage where we should be asking those questions more directly. What exactly did granddaddy pass from? What exactly did grandma pass from? So that we can be able to and tell our children so that they know as well, so that they have an accurate history of family history on record. I see the family history as part of the clues that we need to have as providers on how to create the best plan for you, because you and customize that plan to what your situation is. I do have a young lady that works for me, and she has a family history of colorectal cancer. So she's young and she's getting tested now. She's probably in her 30s, but she's getting tested because so many people around her, parent, grandparent, is too close. So she has to get a colonoscopy. She can't do the other test. She can't do Cologuard. She can't do the fit. She has to do colonoscopy, and she knows that. And so and it empowers her to at a young age to know that that's what she needs to do, and she does it. And she's able to be a witness and give testimony to other people that, like you said, are currently concerned and scared about doing it. She does it, and she's actually the person that we call in Like if somebody's hesitating, we're like, come in here, talk to them.
You
Tell
know,
them
it's
what's
really
going on.
interesting that you say that, and the reason why, and the importance of getting screened is that um, that can prevent up to 60% of colorectal cancer deaths. That's significant.
It
That's
is.
more than half of the people that if
Mhm.
you go in to get tested, you are more likely to live.
Mhm.
And and so interesting because you're being proactive, and as was mentioned earlier, this is something that is preventable
Yeah.
if it's taken seriously at the beginning. And I want you ladies to speak more about, how can we get people their mindset to want to come in. I look at numbers, and numbers always do it for me. I'm like, I want to be that 60%,
Right.
So I wanted to just kind of let you all talk to the community a little bit more about what you've seen in the past and why they really should do this.
I'll go ahead and get started. So,
Mhm.
one reason why the community really should do this, to your point, um, there's hope. There's so much hope that comes with that test
Yeah.
and the test result, and being able to say, I'm good. I'm good for another 10 years. Like, the feeling of accomplishment cannot be measured. You really need to do it. And do it I love the idea about couples colonoscopy. Do it as a group. Have an accountability situation set up amongst your friends and your family, and make sure that everybody gets it. Know what your age is. I'm telling you, the reason why I got mine, well, and this is so funny because I'm in healthcare, is my dad. So my dad is retired, and he definitely takes care of himself, and he keeps up with all the schedules. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm grown. He said, yeah, you're still my kid. You need to go get your test. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he told me, he tells everybody, like he's that person. He's the patriarch of our larger family. We have a large family. So that's kind of what the role that he plays is like, oh, what's your birth? Oh, okay. You need to go get tested for this, and this. So having somebody like that really is seriously vested in your health and making sure that you get what you need and being an accountability partner. Go get tested. It's okay. People have survived it. My litmus test is, did I die? Nope. Okay, so we're good. Keep it moving. And this is how we don't die. As a
Mhm.
community, we need to make sure, especially if you have health insurance. I can't tell you how many people actually have Medicaid but don't know it.
Yeah.
They don't know it. So we come and we go out to the community and do a lot of work. We do COVID and flu vaccines. We do PSA testing. We're out in the community a lot as a clinic. And so when we do that, we look up insurance for people, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know I still had Medicaid." So even just knowing that you have insurance, that changes your behavior in how you access healthcare, of course, because now you know you're going to be covered. So even just doing that, just check and see if you have health insurance. And if you do, like Dr. Israel has said earlier, they will cover this test. And so at that point, and we actually have a program that we're setting up, that Ms. Deborah is helping us set up, for Health Connections. We're doing prostate and colorectal cancer navigation program. So what we're going to do is have community health workers and nurse practitioners and our registered nurses, and we're going to help people go through their process of getting screened. And once you get screened, and if it's positive, then we will help you through the process of going to that next step to actually get treatment. And this is where the partnerships come in, because of course we're not specialists, but we do have other specialists in the community with whom we work. So we will do what someone had mentioned earlier: go to the doctor with you. We will meet you there. We will go, because sometimes they talk in a talk that you don't understand, and
Mhm.
so we have to translate sometimes, and we have to ask for clarification. And by doing that, we actually empower the community to start figuring out how to create that doctor-patient relationship, that doctor-patient communication, because we can't always be there, but this is how we help model that. We help give people a chance to, and especially it's about you. Like this is your health for real. It's not a
Right.
simulation. This is your health. So we need you to be locked in, but you kind of have to know what to lock into. Because if you've never been in this situation, you don't even know what the questions are to answer and to ask. So we are an advocate, but we also help train you on what you need to do as a patient, and how to work with the communication with your provider.
You know, Erica, you mentioned something that I have a question about is that when people don't realize that they have Medicaid, how is that? I mean, they don't send them information, or people move and they don't get their mail, or, and how can people check to see that they have it? So that's a
Two-parter.
part
Two-parter.
question. Yes.
So this is true. I said the same thing. Like, you don't know. Okay, I got you. So one thing is, especially because of COVID, the rules had changed on how long people could have the health insurance without having to get a maintenance check, and check back in about your how much money you make, things like that. Also, there was some measures around if you're a parent of a child that's on Medicaid that you also can stay on. Like, those rules, like, all got moved around during COVID. And then, even though there was something called the wind down, where those rules were taken back, there's some that did stay, and some people, didn't know that things change. So unless you're plugged in, like we are into healthcare systems like this, you kind of didn't really know. So some of it is really that. Sometimes, parents sign kids up for things and they don't even know that they signed them up for it. So some of it is that, because we deal with a lot of people that are in the 17, 18-year-old, age group, and they're like, yeah, I don't think I have insurance. And we'll look it up and like, yeah, you actually do. And again, that changes their mindset of like, oh, then let me sign me up for everything. So it makes a difference. The place to go, I would say, I don't have the number in front of me, but Forward Health is the system for the state of Wisconsin for Medicaid, at least, to call that number and find out and ask someone on that line to give you that information. And the other thing is, like we do, we're in the field. We actually just look people up and see if they have insurance. And we really specifically Medicaid. Medicare is another system database we have to go into. We actually have access to that as well. And then other than that, most people have to go back and find out from their parents or whoever else is managing that part of their life.
Deb, do you have anything that you want to tell the community about events or different programs that are happening now that you want to inform the community?
Yeah, there's a lot of events. The first thing I want to go back when you asked about the benefits of having the colonoscopy, you get a good nap. Let me just tell you.
Yes,
that's
the best part.
The best part. Look, might schedule my own right now because you get a good old nap. I could just, yeah, that's a benefit. Anyway, so yeah, on March 29th, there's a couple events that are going on in the community, but one that if you have not been at the Thrive On building, this is an opportunity to come. We are hosting a Care for the Caregiver conference. And this is a really cool conference. You can come if you are a caregiver. It's focused on cancer patients, cancer caregivers. But if you want resources for caregivers, this is an opportunity. And then also Delta Sigma Theta Sorority is having their Women's Day at Epicos Church, and there will be screenings there. Clinical breast exams are going to be there. I think Erica, I can't remember. Yeah, you're going to be there. I'm getting so confused with time. And so, yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities. And you can hit me at 414-955. What's my phone? 414-955-3626. And I can get you connected with all of these opportunities.
And that's 414-955-2626, Deb?
3626.
3626. Okay. And Erica Sinclair, if people would like to know more about coming into your clinic, getting some assistance, can you give them the address and the phone number?
Absolutely. The address is 4655 Northport Washington Road, Suite 300 in Glendale, Wisconsin. And the phone number is 414-999-1099. And the website is healthconnectmke.org. And we have a lot of information there as well.
I want to thank Deb Nevels from the Medical College of Wisconsin and Erica Sinclair from Health Connections for joining us today. We had some great discussion about colorectal cancer. Please go and get tested. We want to see you. We want you to be in that 60%, okay? Not in the 40, 60% of being able to conquer through and survive. So we're asking that you definitely look into that and get tested. And also there's special events that the ladies mentioned. If they have questions and they want more information, Deb, can you give them your phone number again? Because
Yes.
you guys are all over the place. And so I want them to know that it's not just this month, but they're all over the place. So give them your phone number again, Deb.
Yes, that's 414-955-3626.
And please join us again. We're at the table. We had great conversation today about child support. We had great conversation about colorectal cancer. We'll see you on the other side in the next 2 weeks. So everybody take care and be blessed. This is Karen Dotson from the Medical College of Wisconsin, Program Director for the All of Us Research Program. Everybody have a great weekend and don't forget to get tested.